Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind nzpocketguide.com, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. nzpocketguide.com has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind nzpocketguide.com. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including nzpocketguide.com. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Are you enjoying the beautiful rainy weathers that New Zealand is currently offering us? It is autumn. It clearly is autumn now. It's cold, it's wet, it's rainy, so we are cozying up inside and hanging out with you all. We are here to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. I'm shortening that to Traveland. Okay, here's how this live show works, Laura.
You guys pop onto the live chat, ask all your New Zealand travel questions, even though we will have a theme that we will sort of talk about throughout this live show. You guys can ask your questions about anything to do with traveling in New Zealand, and we go through all the comments with glee in our hearts. But of course...
Glee in our hearts. She said it right here.
But of course, there is a theme of this episode, so let's check out what that is, Robin.
All right. So before we're gonna say Morena from Rodeo, California, to Anthony Comstock. Anthony is in California, and Morena means good morning in Maori, the local indigenous language here in New Zealand. And Telmo is here saying kia ora. How are you doing, Telmo? If I remember, he's in South America. But yeah, sign in, say hi, say where you're from, and all that. Anyway. Cool. So yes, there is a theme this week, so let's get on with it. All right, so today we thought we'd talk about something a little different than our usual travel guides, and we'll just talk about the New Zealand culture, and most importantly, the celebrities that you may know and are actually from New Zealand, because that's right, there are actually a lot of famous people all around there, the Hollywood scene, which are from New Zealand. Now, big spoiler right here, a lot of them, we don't know them very well because we're not really in tune with the Hollywood gossips, drama. We're not really in tune with the latest musics. So we'll need a little bit of your help to figure out what they do. But we have a brief on all of them. And if you want to follow along, there is a link of an article in the description of this video so you can come along with us. All right. So without further ado, let's get started. First, Tamo is actually saying that he's having a rainy day as well, so that's good. And we have Daniel from Bogota, Colombia. Oh, I love it. How are you doing, Daniel?
Yeah, Kia ora.
Kia ora, Daniel.
And Telmo says it's 4 p.m. here. Oh, well, that's good. That's a better time than 8 a.m. where we are right now.
Yes.
In New Zealand.
All right, so let's get started. The first celebrity of New Zealand, you may not know is from New Zealand, is Lorde.
Yeah, so this is a singer that had a pretty famous song back in the day called Royals. I think that's like the song everybody knows from her. But she's done other stuff since then, apparently. So yeah, she's got albums such as Pure Heroine, Melodrama, and Solar Power.
That's a bit of a journey right here from heroin to solar power. I feel like there is growth right here.
Yeah,
I
love the sustainability touch at the end. I can see that this artist has really grown throughout her music career. So yeah, Lorde is from New Zealand. Her original name, obviously a real name's not Lorde, but she was born Ella Maria Lani Yellick O'Connor, probably mispronounced, but yeah, that's Lorde in a nutshell.
All right, so we already moved on screen, but we have Russell Crowe, the gladiator himself, is from New Zealand.
Yes, that is something that not many people will know, but yeah, he was actually born in Wellington, which is New Zealand's capital. And I mean, does he need much of an introduction? I feel like everybody's seen this guy somewhere on their screens at some point, right? So yeah, he's basically a big actor. Been in, I think Gladiator is his main sort of thing, but he's an award-winning actor.
And
so,
since YouTube always asks us to ask you guys to subscribe and like and everything, you know, it's kind of a nice little segue to say that if you guys are entertained, aha, you see what I did right here? Are you not entertained?
Oh, is that one of his lines? I didn't know that.
This is how much we know about the famous people. Anyway, if you are entertained, hit some of the buttons. It always helps. All right, so moving on to the next person on our list, we have a Sir, in fact.
Oh, it is the man himself, Sir Peter Jackson. So he's a famous director, obviously most famous for his work on The Lord of the Rings. And yeah, he has got a lot of sort of tourist attractions around New Zealand are sort of associated with him, such as the Weta Workshop in Wellington, where you can see a lot of his work there. You can also see his collection of planes.
That's right. You can visit his collection of World War I planes because he's a buff of World War I. That's true.
Yeah, so you can see that in Blenheim in Marlborough.
Here you go. All right, so next up we have a director which may be a little more contemporary, let's say, and his name is Taika Waititi.
Yeah, so Taika Waititi is been in a lot of stuff as of late, but he's also known for some classic New Zealand movies as well. But yeah, a lot of people really would associate him with a lot of the Marvel movies. So Thor Ragnarok, he actually had like an acting role in that as well. So he's kind of director, actor, all that good stuff. Anything else you want to say about him?
Well, if you want to watch some of his earlier work and a bit more like Kiwi or New Zealand work, you may want to watch a movie called Boy. It's probably one of the most acclaimed New Zealand movie. It's really cool. Or The Hunt for the Wilder People. Aside from that, well, you know, again, he was in Thor Ragnarok, Green Lantern, which is a masterpiece, of course. Everybody knows that. Ryan Reynolds' best movie ever.
And also in Free Guy. That's a pretty cool movie.
Indeed.
I enjoyed that one.
All right, so moving on to somebody that was suggested by one of our viewers last week when we announced we were doing this theme, and that's Rosé from Blackpink. So we knew nothing about Blackpink because we know nothing about K-pop itself. But Rosé, which was born as Roseanne Park, was actually born in New Zealand. She's living mostly in Australia. But technically she was born here, so that works.
Born in Auckland.
Yes, born in Auckland, and that's right. And Blackpink is a famous K-pop band, and she also had a solo debut single called On the Ground. So here you go. One of the fun fact about her that I learned, because yes, I learned way too much about her when, you know, I was told to look into her. One of the fun facts she was actually the 4th most followed K-pop idol on Instagram. So she is very influential. So if you want to talk about actual influential celebrities of New Zealand, you know, aside from politicians, which actually affect your everyday life, Rosé from K-pop. Blackpink is as far as it gets.
Yeah.
Or as high as it gets. Anyway, so that is her. So moving on to number 6 celebrities from New Zealand. This is a duo, Laura.
Yeah, this is more my type of music. Just fun, silliness. I love it. So, Flight of the Conchords, they actually had a TV show back in the day.
Yeah.
Some of you youngsters might not really know about these people, but yeah, they had this really fun TV show called of the same name, Flight of the Conchords, but they're also a band that basically do sort of parody music songs.
Yeah.
They're kind of not
And
really
the
parody,
producer
but like,
is Rhys Darbis, which we'll see later, and he's working for Tourism New Zealand in New York or something, and he's doing an absolute awful job. So yeah.
yeah. So the duo is made up of Jermaine Clement and Brett McKenzie, and yeah, they're just good fun comedy pair.
And yeah, so they recently have morphed into doing a bit of acting as well. So they were in the Lord of the Rings because everybody in New Zealand was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But they also had small roles in the Avatar sequel. All right, so moving on to Mr. Cliff Curtis, the actor from Rotorua.
Yes, he was born in Rotorua and was most famously featured on The Walking Dead. So he is an actor, and that's what he's most known for. But he has acted in other things, such as...
he was in the Die Hard franchise.
Yes.
Die Hard, indeed.
Live Free or Die Hard. He was also in...
The worst one!
He was also in Training Day.
Which is a great movie with, I think, Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke, if I'm correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't say I've seen it
I liked
myself.
it when I was a young boy. Speaking of boy.
Speaking of boy, the New Zealand-made movie that everybody in New Zealand knows. Maybe not everyone around the world knows it, but if you want to watch a New Zealand movie, then Boy is usually the go-to, and he was in that.
Indeed. All right. So next up on our list, we have somebody which it became more famous of late because of a bit of a meme. He went to a spa and he really enjoyed himself. So his name is Temurika Morrison.
Temura, not...
That's not what I said. That's right. Temura Morrison. My apologies.
Yeah, so he is the one, the only...
Jango Fett from
Jango
Star
Fett.
Wars, indeed.
Not Boba Fett. Not to be confused
Well,
with
he
Boba
was featured
Fett.
in the book of Boba Fett, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah.
Most people know him now from that YouTube video where
Yeah.
he's in the Polynesian spa.
The Polynesian spa.
Which is one of the tourist attractions in Rotorua. But yeah, he's another New Zealand actor that many people who are signed up to Disney Plus will recognize.
Indeed. If you're not really into like the Star Wars universe or anything like that, and you're into like more DC, he was also Aquaman's father in the extended universe or any of those kind of movies. So yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
I saw the first Aquaman movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
It was nice. It was
Ooh,
all right. I like Under the Sea. I like the setting. An underwater civilization's always cool. So yeah, I like that.
Nice. All right, so moving on to the man that with only a single haircut can define a genre. That's right. It's the man that with long hair tells you that this movie is going to be fantasy, and with short hair is telling you that this movie is going to be sci-fi. Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Look it up. Every single time he has long hair, it's a fantasy movie. Every single time he has short hair, it's a sci-fi movie. It's Mr. Carl Urban.
Yeah, so this is a guy that's been in quite a lot of stuff.
He is busy as.
Yeah, he's an actor, so he has been in the more up to date Star Trek franchise.
Yes.
He's also been in the Bourne Supremacy, the Chronicles of Riddick, Lord of the Rings, Dread, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. I can't remember him in that.
No, I can't remember him in that either.
No. But most famously, that we are personal fans of, he has been in the Amazon show The Boys, which is the sort of anti-superhero TV show. And he, plays a Cockney, which is basically somebody who's from London, a London bloke.
Yeah, you
in
trust a
that.
New Zealander to play somebody from London. That's right.
Yeah, and he likes to say a lot of sort of jokes and catch lines, particularly about the Spice Girls.
Yes, and he has very, very nice language. He never swears in the show. That's what's good. It's very polished. Yeah.
Potty mouth.
All right, so after Carl Urban, let's move to another Urban, not related, Keith Urban, which is
his
famous.
daddy.
No, really. Which is famous mostly for who he married, I guess. Maybe he's
Well,
famous
some
for...
people. He's apparently, according to this little snippet here, he's a Grammy and Golden Globe award-winning musician, Robin. I think he.
What's those things?
They're like some very prestigious awards for his soundtrack contribution to the movie Act of Valor. But yeah, he's also.
I think Act of Valor was that movie that they say like the actors are actually SEAL 6 whatever like people, and that was horrible. I think I watched that.
Well,
anyway,
the soundtrack must have been awesome.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear his soundtrack, Keith Urban's soundtrack, watch that movie. Otherwise, you might see him in Gossip Mags with Nicole Kidman, maybe.
There you go.
I imagine.
All right. So that is the first 10. We have many more to go. Let's check in the live chat. Let's see what happens there. Well, no one's talking to us. Wow, you guys are all quiet.
Nothing.
We can continue talking about Hollywood for hours. It's fine. We definitely know nothing about it, so that's fun.
So what about you guys? Do you recognize anyone that we have talked about so far? Do you know who they are? Yeah, let us know.
All right, let's continue a little bit with some of those famous celebrities. Let's do 10 more. Okay, so the next one that we're going to be talking about is Miss Frankie Adams, that you may know if you've been watching a sci-fi lately.
He wasn't wearing a vac suit.
She knows a quote.
I know.
She knows a quote.
So yeah, she is an actress that is most sort of famous for being in The Expanse, which is a sci-fi TV show, which is quite cool. But she also started her career in the New Zealand soap opera Shortland Street.
It's kind of our version of like Days of Our Lives or anything like that,
or
right?
EastEnders.
Yeah,
for all you
exactly.
UK peeps out there.
Exactly. So yeah, one fun fact about Bobby from The Expanse. She's actually half Samoan, half New Zealanders. So yeah,
that
so
is
that's
a
quite
fun
cool.
fact.
She's bringing a lot of like islands roots, to the screen. So let's stick with the streaming world for our next person, and probably the most evil person in the world. That's right. Anthony Starr is from New Zealand. Who's Anthony Starr? Why is he so evil?
Well, I'm sure it's not really him, but his character, he plays basically the main villain of this Amazon series, The Boys, which is the anti-superhero
He
TV
is
show I was
so
talking about.
creepy and so villainous in that.
Does an amazing job in that show of being
so
like
good.
the worst villain I think ever to grace our TV screen. So yeah, if you haven't seen The Boys, you should watch it as well, because then you'll be like, oh my god, this guy is just terrible. So yeah, he's from New Zealand, the actor of is it Highlander, his name in that show?
Yeah.
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 So yeah, he played. I feel like I'm getting that wrong. It is Highlander, isn't it?
It's not Highlander.
It's not Highlander.
Homelander. Here you go. Homelander.
He's not like the Scottish warrior. Homelander, yeah. So he plays the evil Homelander superhero / villain of The Boys,
Yeah.
and
he honestly, I think that his performance in that literally what it is what keeps me watching the show over and over again. I absolutely love him in that. Like, I think most shows, movies, and any kind of form of entertainment is only as good as its villain, right? Because sometimes the villains are like not threatening because the heroes are like so bloody strong, or the villains are like such a convoluted plans of like absolutely nonsensical mind controlling the world with a satellite laser, blah blah blah. It's nonsense, right? He is just so good at being so evil and villainous. It is so compelling. I think in this entire list, it's like right now, he's like the person that I feel like I've watched the most, or like I know the most of his, like, yeah, what he does. It's so good. So yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, so again, guys, this is obviously like the more we're talking about people is the people that we personally have seen on,
on
screen and stuff. But there is a lot of people in this list that we don't know. So sorry that we're not talking so much about people that you might be huge fans of. But yeah, by all
Contribute,
means,
put it below so like we know actually
please
if there's something else we
contribute.
need to know. Yeah. All right, so moving on to somebody we know pretty much nothing about. He's the man in the bra himself.
Man in the
I don't know. There's a bra right here.
yeah.
I don't know. Sonny Bill Williams. So he plays sports.
Yes, he was ranked one of the sexiest rugby players, apparently.
There you go.
But yeah, he is one of New Zealand's many famous rugby stars that have come and gone over the years, as well as there's other famous ones of the past have been Richie McCaw and Dan Carter. But yeah, Sonny Bill Williams was perhaps the most famous about, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
He was one of the All Blacks. So,
yeah, he's one of the All Blacks.
All right, so moving on to somebody that I grew up watching on reruns on French TV in midday, and this is Lucy
midday.
Lawless. Xena, Warrior Princess herself,
Yes.
is from New Zealand.
And she was also in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, she was good in that too.
And Parks and Recreation. Do you remember her in that?
Yeah, she's the person that ended up marrying Ron Swanson.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she called him to repair a pothole, and then they'd start a fling. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And yeah, apparently, according to this little snippet here, she was in a glorious 3 seconds in Spider-Man.
I mean,
I
come
don't
on.
know if that was really worth mentioning, but
But yeah, so yeah, Xena Warrior Princess was like a really fun kind of TV show that was a spin-off of what was the guy version of it? You know that
is
guy?
it Hercules?
Yes, Hercules.
Yeah.
Right? So it was kind of a spin-off of that. And it was one of those shows which was kind of like had like those cardboard boulders that were like throwing and were bouncing way too
I
much
think I
and
might
everything.
have seen it as well.
Yeah. And I think, or to my recollection, right, I think that's probably the first kind of characters that I've seen on TV that was not obviously, but pretty most obviously homosexual. So she kind of had a fling with her counterpart, which was like a lady with like brown hair. Obviously, there's nothing. It was pretty early on, right? So there was pretty much nothing say to it, but it was kind of like almost said.
Implied,
So
yeah.
Yeah, it was very much implied. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, she was also pretty evil in Battlestar Galactica. A bit of a spoiler if you haven't watched it, but yeah, here you go.
Here you
Lucy
go.
Lawless. Also, that's an epic name.
Yeah.
Lucy
Lawless.
Yeah,
I am
Lawless.
lawless.
All right, so moving on to a guy. Here you go.
How
And
can we differentiate this man from this woman?
There you go. So, Dr. Nathan Riggs from Grey's
Grey's
Anatomy.
Anatomy. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
things we definitely watch.
He was born in Auckland, New Zealand, the largest city in New Zealand, and started his career in New Zealand on the famous TV show which most New Zealand actors will start their career, which is Shortland Street.
Yeah, I think like it literally when I was kind of like making the snippets for the thing, every time it's like Shortland Street here, Shortland Street. I think they must churn through actors at such a pace. It's quite
Yes.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously he hit the big time once he made it onto Grey's Anatomy. I mean, who wouldn't? And then on the big screen, he is also featured in Little Fish, Smokin' Aces, and Everest.
Here we go. All right, so we talk a lot about actors right now. So let's move on to another singer, and yeah, she only has one name, Kimbra. That's it.
Yes. Her debut album was Vows, if anybody knows about that. But however, people mostly know her because she was in that Gautier song, which was Somebody That I Used to Know. That was like #1 for a solid 5 years or something back in the day. I don't know when was that? That was in... Was that in 2000? No, that was later
I
than
don't
that.
even know who's Gautier.
Yeah.
And what's that?
I mean, I'm not going to sing the song because I don't want to make more of a fool of myself than I currently am doing. But yeah, she was that song was like super famous a few years ago, and she was the female voice in that.
Here you go. All right, let's move on to somebody which actually is more often behind the screen. That's right, a producer of Marie Descent. So she made her name is Chelsea Stanley. And yeah, so she worked in some movies like What We Do in the Shadows. It actually became a series not that long ago, I think. But most importantly, she's actually the driving force behind a lot of acceptance for the Te Reo Maori language. So she's the one that kind of got Disney to translate like major movies like Moana and Frozen into Terero Maori. So that is pretty cool. So we did get some Terero Maori version of those movies released in New Zealand to further, you know, the language. And so she's the one that did that work behind the scene, which is quite cool. So yeah, it was worth kind of
worth a mention.
yeah, worth a bit of a mention.
Yeah.
So here we go. All right. So next up, we're going to talk about a historical figure. That's right. So we are at 18 people so far, and that's going to be our first historical figure. That's right. It took that long. And he's coming in a minute when I successfully highlight his name. No, that's fine.
Stick it in manually.
Yes, do it manually. So his name is Sir Edmund Hillary, and you'll hear a lot about him when traveling in New Zealand, Nora.
Yeah, he is. Well, you will see him on your banknotes. He is one of the people on the New Zealand banknotes. I think it's the $5 banknote for New Zealand. But yeah, the location now that has been turned into a major tourist attraction. Well, Mount Everest back in the day used to be something people didn't climb until Edmund Hillary came along.
And he was like, that tall peak over there, I'm gonna go on top.
Him along with the what do they call them?
Sherpa.
Sherpa. Along with
Norgay.
Tenzing Norgay. They were the first people to make it to the summit of Mount Everest. So yeah, that was a big achievement, and he was credited rather profusely for it. And yeah, he is a big historical figure in New Zealand.
He's not just the guy on the $5 notes. He also has achievements.
Yes. And yeah, also there is, for instance, in the Mount Cook National Park, which is the national park with the tallest mountain in New Zealand, there is the Edmund Hillary Alpine Centre. So there's like a whole Alpine Centre dedicated to him. So yeah, mountaineering, or for all your mountaineering goodness, Edmund Hillary is the man in New Zealand, everyone knows.
Indeed. All right, so next up, number 19 on the list, we have the man from Jurassic Park, Mr. Sam Neill.
Yeah, so I guess, again, not many people will know that Sam Neill originates from... oh no, he's born in Northern Ireland.
No,
oh my
he was
God.
raised in New
But
Zealand.
was raised in
Yes.
New Zealand.
Okay, I have to stretch it, guys. We don't have that many famous people in New Zealand. So he was raised in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That counts. That's
yeah,
it. I'm taking it.
It does count. I mean, you can be born anywhere, but if you are raised, that's where you develop your personality. That's where
Yes,
you
that doesn't
develop...
count for Rosé from Blackpink before, which was born in New Zealand and raised elsewhere. That doesn't count.
But it counts right now. So yeah, he's raised in New Zealand, so he's pretty much New Zealander. And yeah, he was in Jurassic Park, The Hunt for Red October.
Yes, with Sean Connery himself.
And Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard of that, but I actually don't know what
It's
that's
that
about.
series with the guy from Oppenheimer, I think.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's pretty awesome, and yeah, he has also done some work for some New Zealand environmental causes. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so we have a bit of a joke on the next one. So yeah, on number 20, we're going to have Mr. Chris Rankin. Anyway, before we say who he is, does anyone know who that guy is? That, like, you know, just putting it out there. If you are watching a replay of that video, just pause it, look at him, and just think: what is he famous for?
Recognize him?
There is a hint on screen actually, but yeah, here you go. So Mr. Chris Rankin is famous from Harry Potter. Who is he, Laura?
Yeah, he plays Percy Weasley, which is the sort of stuck-up
Here you go,
brother
that
of
guy
the
right
Weasley
here.
brothers.
Okay, that's
the
actually
annoying
full screen.
prefect one. So yeah, he was actually born in Auckland, but obviously he moved to to the UK at a young age, and therefore that qualified him to be one of the actors.
But technically he's not from the UK.
But
so,
technically he's not from the UK.
You're lying,
so,
JK.
Yeah, JK wanted to have all the actors and actresses to be from the UK, but we have found your dirty little secret.
Lies. Also, I think that Jude Law and Johnny Depp were not from the UK, but just putting it out there.
But beyond the original Harry Potter series, I mean, it's like anything goes at that point.
Oh yeah, when it becomes a cash grab, you do what you want.
Yeah,
That works?
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, All right, so that is 20 famous people from New Zealand. What is Anthony saying?
Yeah, Anthony has something to pitch in. So, do you have the wrestler Dakota Kai on there? She's supposed to be from New Zealand. She's a wrestler from the WWE, and yeah, supposed to be from New Zealand. Dakota Kai.
I will have a look at it later on, and I may replace someone.
Yeah. We don't have her on this current list,
Yeah.
but cool. We will look into her and
Yeah.
add her to our main list, which is the 45 celebrities of New
Yes.
Zealand, which is linked in the description below.
Exactly. So you can go on NZ Pocket Guide and find that list, or you can click on the link below. But yeah, and same thing. If you're watching a replay of that and we forgot your favorite celebrity, make sure to tell us. But keep watching. There is literally 25 more to come. So yeah, make sure it's not on the list before you ask, and I'll be very happy to add them on the list. Okay, so let's do a few more, and let's do Rose. Rose from Two and a Half Men.
From Two and a Half Men. She was like the kooky. Yeah.
Copyright strike.
Oops, sorry, YouTube. So Melanie Jane Linsky, she was from New Plymouth originally.
Indeed.
So yeah, New Plymouth is a city on the North Island in the Taranaki region. And yeah, she's also, her debut performance was actually in a Peter Jackson movie, Heavenly Creatures. But yeah, as we kind of introduced her, she is most famous for her role in Two and a Half Men.
All right. So next up, we have somebody that usually wears so much makeup. You never ever realize who he is. But his name is Mr. Bruce Spence. So he was the mouth of Sauron, for example.
I wouldn't have even known to credit the mouth of Sauron.
I know. And he was also like one of those crazy, weird-looking alien in Star Wars. He was Tyon Midden in episode 3. He was also the gyro captain in Mad Max 2. He was also in Matrix Revolution, and a lot of like those kind of.
If you need a crazy looking character, apparently you call Bruce Spence.
All right, so for example, like in Star Wars, that's the kind of look that he had, right? Just to show you a bit on screen, in Mad Max, like that's kind of. And like he's known to kind of like basically have a really interesting look.
Yes.
So here you go. That's Bruce Spence for you guys. Okay, so next up we have somebody very, very New Zealander, very, very Kiwi, with very, very Kiwi humor as well. And that is Julian Dennison.
Yeah, so this is the kid that most people may have seen mostly in Deadpool 2. But yeah, he came from Wellington originally. And he was also a main character in Hunt for the Wilder People. Indeed. Which admittedly I still haven't seen, but everyone's like, oh my god, how have you not seen Hunt for the Wilder People? And it's true, I haven't.
He had pretty cool chemistry with Deadpool, Ryan Gosling. It was pretty cool. Well, no, it's not Gosling. Ryan Reynolds. Hey.
Yeah, one of the Hollywood Ryans.
And next up, we have Liv from iZombie. That's right, Rose McIver.
Yeah.
Laura, you know nothing about her.
I know nothing about Rose McIver. Tell me more. Lovely Bones.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She was not the main character in Lovely Bones, but she appears in there.
She was also in the fantasy series Once Upon a Time, which I do remember knowing about. That was quite a while ago, though.
Yes, that is true. Anyway, we don't know much about her, but here you go. She's an actress from New Zealand. That's probably just beginning. She's quite young, so she's probably just beginning her craft.
I'm very excited for this next actress we're about to put on screen.
All right, who is Anna Paquin, Laura?
Yeah, so I have been a personal fan of things that she's been starring in. So
I'm just gonna put her in a role.
Yeah, so most people maybe
and randomly the lady from Rogue One right here in the corner. Sorry about that. This is wrong, and this
same
one
diff.
here.
They're all the same.
No.
Yeah, so she sort of like kind of became famous mostly through playing Rogue in the original X-Men film franchise. But yeah, more recently, kind of, she was also the main character of HBO's True Blood. She played Suki Stackhouse with her southern accent, and it was quite fun, quite cool. She also was, as a young, of a child actress, she was in The Piano, which was a movie shot in New Zealand. So yeah, where did she come from originally? Do we have that in this?
Wellington.
From Wellington, yeah.
She was born in Canada but raised in Wellington, so that counts.
Yeah. If she was raised in New Zealand, then we have more of a standing here to say she's from New Zealand. Okay, cool.
That's right. All right. So before we continue with some more celebrities, we're gonna go. So we have Martua X. Go to the live chat. So we have finished my sentences. Martua X. That says Morena. That means good morning in Maori,
Morena.
the local indigenous language. Morena, Martua X. Glad to have you on board. And we have Eric that says Banshee was the best show. Banshee. Have you heard of that show?
No.
What is it? And which actor did it?
Which person was in it that we've talked about?
Yeah, I do not know Banshee actually. Yeah. All right, so we'll continue, and now we have some, people that you may have heard of, like 15 that you may have heard of, but they definitely are less known. So now it's my way to
they're
say,
more less known than that.
that's my way to say I really had to scrape a little bit to find some more. So here we go. Let's see if you know any of those famous people from New Zealand. So we have Kiri Te Kanawa. She is a world-known opera singer, and she apparently has a beautiful soprano voice.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, just a bit of variety right here is actually quite cool as well. So yeah, have you heard of her?
No, but I do enjoy this sort of old school look that she's got going on.
Next up, who do we have?
Steven Adams, everybody. He is a professional basketball player known for his time in the NBA. Particularly with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
City Thunder, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, then we have
Starr, eh?
Yeah, so we have somebody. I was talking about Anthony Starr and saying that he mastered the craft of being so evil, right? Rhys Darby mastered the craft of being so annoying, and that's really good, right? Because every single time he plays a character, he usually pushes the button of other people on screen, right?
Yeah.
But he pushes your button when you are sitting on the chair, and he does that so bloody well. So obviously, I don't think that the person himself is very annoying. I've never met the person, but damn, he's so amazing at being such a pain, and you feel so bad for people stuck with him. In movies, right? So anyway, he's in Flight the Concorde, he's in Jumanji, and he's obviously in a bunch of famous movies. So here you go, that's Rhys Darby. Have you seen him in any movies? He's usually a side character or a comic relief.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I mostly know him off Flight the Concords and Jumanji. Yeah. I can't think of anything else other than that time they did that New Zealand, New Zealand's not on the map. That sort
true.
of was it a tourism video?
I actually know him as well from the advertisement for a brand of cell phone here, or a brand of a cell phone network called 2 Degrees. So yeah, he was on that as well. Yeah. Very, very good at being annoying in that advertisement as well. I've never been with 2 Degrees before. All right.
Oh God, you didn't do a good job then.
Mr. Jonah Lomu is a player of some sports, isn't he? From the All Blacks, right?
Yeah, a former rugby player considered to be one of the sport's greatest ever wings.
Indeed. He doesn't fly though. He's a wing, but doesn't fly. All right, so next up on the list we have KG Hapa.
KG Appa?
Yeah.
The actor known for his role as Archie Andrews in the TV series Riverdale. That sounds like a soap.
I have no idea who. Does anyone know this person and knows what else is done? I mean,
yeah, I can't really expand on this.
Yeah,
I have to be honest. But yeah, if anybody has anything to add to that, please put it in the comments.
Yeah, because for some of them when I didn't find as much, right? But them as that's what we're doing the next few ones right here where I don't know too much about it. But yeah, do you know that? He has a baby face. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of girls fan. Look at him. I'd cuddle him. Look at him. All right, next up we have Rebecca Gibney. Who is she, Laura?
She is an actress known for her work in Australian and New Zealand television, including Packed to the Rafters.
That's a New Zealand show, isn't it? I think I've heard of it before. I've heard it referred to during some of those New Zealand talk shows, like 7 Days and everything, and make joke about that. So it feels like it's part of the
part of the cultural
landscape,
ecosystem of New Zealand. Yeah, cool.
Indeed. All right.
I actually know this next one because he's probably only famous in the UK, but not famous anywhere else.
All right, tell me about this person. I do not know him.
Zane Lowe is a radio DJ, live DJ, record producer, and television presenter known for his work with Apple Music's Beats One. I recognise his name from Radio 1 in the UK, so that's what I know him from.
Okay.
I wouldn't recognise his face because obviously
he's a radio
being
host.
a radio host is like, I only know your voice.
I thought the way to be famous without having the drawbacks of being a celebrity was to be a radio person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't know your face, but now they're like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the next person, we have Neil Finn. Who's Neil Finn, Laura?
Neil Finn is the lead singer and songwriter for Crowded House, known for his hits like Don't Dream It's Over.
Well,
There he is.
He takes you down.
Interesting hairstyle.
Well,
I mean, if you've got that amount of hair, you better well enjoy it.
Honestly, if you have that amount of hair and you can headbang, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I hope he is doing headbangers.
That makes for some epic
and he's
slow-mo.
not just like, I don't know, country music singer. That would be disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody know anything about Neil Finn? Please put it in the comments.
Yes. Have you heard of the song Don't Dream It's Over?
Much like what I'm thinking about this list. Daniel, is it Gillies?
Gillies, I guess, yeah.
Daniel Gillies, an actor known for his roles in
Laura's
the
favorite
Vampire Diaries and the
Laura's
spin-off of the
favorite show.
originals. Actually, I do recognise him. Yes. I mean, the Vampire Diaries was obviously one of those sort of teen shows that was around when I was maybe not quite a young teen, but more of an old teen.
So it wasn't respectable for you to watch that?
It was more of a guilty pleasure, I think, at that point. But yeah, cool. He's from New Zealand.
Also famous, Mr. Neil Finn for being... Mr. Daniel Gillies for being Laura's guilty pleasure, apparently.
You heard it here first.
Big Runga. Who is Big Runga, Laura?
A pop singer-songwriter known for hits like Sway and Drive.
Have you heard of any of those songs?
No, I can't really put a pin on that one.
But she is holding a guitar in many photos, and that makes me feel like she may be an actual artist. So I do like that. She may play an instrument or two. So I am wanting to look her up.
Okay.
Well,
look her up. All right, next up we have Eleanor Catton. Eleanor Catton, an author known for her novel The Luminaries, which won the Man Booker Prize. Oh my god, I keep getting that suggested to me on my library app all the time, and I'm oh my god, stop trying to shoehorn The Luminaries into my throat, because I'm trying to, look for other books all the time. But, now I might read it.
So, I've got a connection with this person. I happen to be standing in the same country.
Yeah. Well, if she's from New Zealand, now I can see why the local library is pushing her book so much. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and a writer. Here you go. We're just doing actors and singers and everything. I thought some different stuff.
What? I feel bad forever trying to avoid this book just because I felt like, screw the man. I want to look at my own things that are suggested, not the things that keep getting suggested to me like all the time. But yeah, it seems like I am going to cave in.
All right. Brooke Fraser, who is she?
Brooke Fraser, a pop and folk singer-songwriter known for hit songs like Something in the Water.
Yeah, don't drink it, lady. There's something in the water. just putting it out there. I don't know what the song's about, but yeah. Do you know that song?
I feel like I might know. I feel like I recognize the song title, so I may actually. I think I do know that song.
Indeed.
Again, I feel compelled to sing it, but I'm trying to refrain myself because it would be Embarrassing for all of us.
All right, who's this historical figure right here? It's a smart man.
He's a smart man from New Zealand. Ernest Rutherford, is a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry.
That's right, and
Yeah.
he's also on one of the New Zealand banknotes.
Yeah,
so
the
here you go.
expensive one. This is the banknote you want.
Ernest Rutherford, the banknote you want.
Exactly. I think
Nice.
so anyway. That would be kind of funny if it turned out to be like, oh, he's on the $10 note. But I'm pretty sure he's on the $100 note.
Yeah. All right, and then we have another historical figure, Mr. Keith Park.
Mr. Keith Park. There is a park named after him as well, apparently,
Indeed.
according to these pictures.
In Auckland, Manukau.
The World War I military commander was given command of the number 11 group in the Battle of Britain, 1940.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
All right, so that's 40 celebrities of New Zealand. We got 5 more, and they are all politicians. I put them in the end, grouped together. So if that's not a hook for you guys, you come and talk about
my
famous
God,
New Zealand
stay
politicians.
tuned.
I know you can't leave. I mean, wow, what a treat for you. But let's quickly check on the live chat. We have Macho X. He says he's going to Makete today. He's going to drive again and then go to Little Waihi. Nice. And he says it's preseason for rugby league right now, so he took yesterday afternoon off and worked yesterday morning, so he could referee the game. Nice, it's starting now. So Macho X is one of our lovely Patreon. If you want to join us on Patreon, it's a lot of fun. And he tells us all about his life in New Zealand. We all have a very different life in New Zealand. So we focus on the travel, we focus on our Kiwi lifestyle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we also have Rick, another one of our awesome Patreon a member. He is saying hi, and he's planning a working holiday in New Zealand, which is going to be quite fun. It's coming up soon, mate.
Ooh.
Only
moments away at this point.
Speaking of Patreon, we do a group call every week as well, just kind of like have a hash out like questions and everything. And today we're going to be seeing Christina's photo from a trip, so that's going to be very, very exciting.
Admittedly, the conversation does sort of revolve more around New Zealand travel, and more our expertise are in New Zealand travel, but certainly not New Zealand celebrities. But I mean.
So you mean that's not our area of expertise?
Yeah,
right here?
please don't join us on Patreon if you are hoping to get more New Zealand celebrity gossip. This is probably the only video we're ever going to do on the subject. However, if you're interested in New Zealand travel and checking out New Zealand as a place to come and visit, or just do a working holiday in, etc., then join us for that. Don't join us for the celebrity gossip.
Yeah, she's right. All right, let's continue celebrity gossiping
Yes.
with some politicians. So Jacinda is the first one on our list. You've seen her throughout COVID. There is no way you haven't. She was in the news in New Zealand and abroad. Who is she, Laura?
Yeah, so she was the Prime Minister of New Zealand from 2017 to 2022.
And she had the best media team. Like, they were putting her face everywhere, from Stephen Colbert to the news and everything in between. She had the best media coverage.
Yeah, so she was known during her reign as Prime Minister. She was the sort of big events that happened was the mosque shootings in Christchurch, as well as the COVID-19 pandemic, and the way that she sort of handled those situations was mostly seen as positive, but obviously this is politics. There's always opposing views. But it was kind of
her brand was like empathy. That was
yes.
that's the sort she was branded by us,
sort of
media
like
team.
the motherly figure of New Zealand, what New Zealand needed in their time of despair.
Indeed.
Yeah, so that's what she was all about.
All right, so next up we have who's probably the role model of Jacinda Ardern, and that is Helen Clark, which I think is a dame now, isn't she?
I mean, who isn't? Helen Clark, I mean, not to diminish her achievements, but Helen Clark, Prime Minister of New Zealand between 1999 and 2008.
And then she went to the UN.
So, was she the first? She wasn't the first female Prime Minister, was she, of New Zealand?
Yeah, I think she was
She
the first
was.
Prime Minister of New Zealand, yes. Or female Prime Minister, yeah.
Yeah, and just, also another thing to add to that, she was, New Zealand had the first 3 women sort of in power simultaneously
Yes.
in the whole world, and also was one of the first countries to give women the right to vote, can I just add?
Yeah, and so for that reason, Helen Clark, during her time at the UN, was actually pushing really hard for gender equality, and that was one of her main agenda that put her on the list as well. So, yeah. Some politicians actually do good and don't just further their own agenda. So here you
Yeah.
go. Unlike some other on that list that are going to come up. Well, we don't have the right to say anything like that. All right, cool. Who's that chirpy face over there, Mr. David Lang?
David Lang, Prime Minister from 1984 to 1989, was best known internationally for his government's anti-nuclear stance.
Yeah, so he's the one that kind of obviously was pushing for anti-nuclear stance and also was refusing for some like boats and nuclear submarine and everything to be able to enter the water of New Zealand despite agreement with like with other nations of trade and help and everything like that. So yeah,
Okay.
he was he denied ship visits and all those kind of things and pushed the nuclear-free policy. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, that is interesting because I knew that New Zealand was all anti-nuclear, and maybe we have him to sort of probably marginally thank for that because I know it's never just one person, but in part thank for that.
Indeed. And I'm saying hi to Dean Stevenson in the chat. He says, Kiwi check mark. I like it. All right, next
Nice.
up we have a banker.
John Key. He was the
yeah.
Prime Minister when I think I first arrived in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So he served as Prime Minister from 2008 to 2016, known for his pragmatic leadership style and for steering New Zealand through the financial crisis of the late 2000s, as well as significant contributions to the deepening of the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations.
The financial crisis was brought to us by the bankers. He was a banker, so basically brought up the financial crisis to us and barely fixed it.
Moving on.
Moving on, that's fine. Let's just focus on that face right here. This is the one. This is the one we want to focus on right
I
here.
sort of mostly know that he pulled some woman's ponytail.
Yes. Yeah, so here you go. All right, who's Bill English, Laura?
Bill English served as Prime Minister of New Zealand between 2016 to 2017. Good job, Bill. Following a long political career, including roles as the Minister of Finance and the Deputy Prime Minister, known for his focus on economic issues and for implementing policies aimed at fiscal stability and social investment.
Here you go. Long career, short term as Prime Minister. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, being Prime Minister isn't everything, Bill. I wouldn't be too upset.
All right, so that wraps up 45 celebrities of New Zealand that you may have known. So we'd love to know how many of those 45 did you actually know, have heard of, or have seen before, right? Like those faces right here on the screen. Have you seen any of those people before? So I'd like to know that. I'd like to know if you know some celebrities of New Zealand that we didn't mention. Like Anthony was talking about Dakota Kai. So I'd have to look into it and maybe add her to the list. So yeah, just kind of give us some comments below. We'd love to know that from you. If you do like, this video, hit like. If you do want to hear more from us about traveling in New Zealand, not really about celebrities in New Zealand, then subscribe, right? That's what we're here for. We're mostly a travel guide. It's just a step sideways. We just thought it'd be funny to do that. We just wanted a good giggle today, so that was that. And yeah, we're also on Patreon if you want our help to plan your trip to New Zealand. Now that it's finished, it's over. I want to hear from you, Laura. How many out of those 45 do you think you knew?
I'd say maybe about 7.
Wow. I think I knew most of the actors. Like, obviously, didn't know they were from New Zealand. Like, I had no clue that Carl Urban and Anthony Starr, the two one from the boys, I have no clue. I had no clue that they were
From New Zealand.
No, they
yeah.
really sounded English, right? As you say,
Yeah.
like Cockney. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were sounding very English. I had no clue. So that's a testament to the good job they were doing.
Yeah, true. I mean, I obviously knew, like, Jacinda Ardern.
Yeah.
All the boring ones, basically. All the politicians I'd heard of.
You knew Edmund Hillary because we've been seeing so much
I knew
about
Edmund
him when we're traveling around New
Hillary.
Zealand as well. Yeah.
So yeah, more like the political figures or the more, the historical figures that you kind of associate more
How
with
about
New Zealand.
Rosé from Blackpink? How much did you know about her?
Now I know a name of somebody that is in the K-pop industry, which I didn't know before. So
Isn't it like the guy from Gangnam Style, like Psy? He's in the K-pop. It's K-pop, isn't it?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you know what.
But that was probably before K-pop became a big thing in
I
sort
think
of
K-pop has
Western
been a big
culture.
thing.
I was about to say in Western society.
that's true, yeah.
It's more of a big thing now than it was back when Psy was, Gangnam Style arounding.
Yeah. When it comes down to all the singers or anything to do with that, like there was no way I knew any of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I knew Lord. I know the song from Kimbra, but I never really knew her specifically.
Yeah. And the opera singer?
Definitely not the opera singer.
You didn't know
Anna Paquin.
Kiwi Tekanawa, no?
Anna Paquin I knew, but I didn't know she was from New Zealand.
She was born in Winnipeg, Canada, but...
Yeah. I mean,
She was
raised
raised
in
in
New Zealand.
That counts.
Sorry.
Counts.
Wording is important here. Like I said, I knew the name Zane Lowe from the radio,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah, that's still a good amount,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, what I find is actually one of the things is like quite often is that the famous people from New Zealand, they very quickly go overseas. Like Peter Jackson doesn't live in New Zealand anymore. You know, like a lot of those Taika he doesn't live in New Zealand anymore. You know, they go overseas because there's more opportunities overseas,
Yes.
which makes sense, right?
But if there is ever an end of the world scenario, they'll have a home in New Zealand to come to.
Exactly.
Which
so,
seems to be what most overseas celebrities and rich people are doing. They're buying themselves like a little sort of emergency shelter.
yeah. James Cameron's may have done that recently, but
in
yeah.
New Zealand. So, and the end of the world is coming really soon. So,
Oh yeah, is
can't
it?
wait to see
What
that.
time? What time is it? Is it scheduled for any time soon?
within our lifetimes.
All right, with that message of positivity, we're going to wrap up. We're going to say goodbye to Anthony. Thank you so much for all the comments. Telmo, thank you for popping in another time. And Rick, of course, saying that he's going back to work right now. Thank you very much for popping in. We're just going to wrap up this show and hop off to a call with our Patreon. So we see you all next week for a theme more akin to what we usually do, which is about traveling in New Zealand. And we're going to be talking next week about where to spot penguins in New Zealand. If that's one of the things you want to do in New Zealand, we're going to find you some penguins. So
I
you get
love
to.
penguins.
Yeah, I know you love penguins. So
Now
here you go.
that's more exciting than
What? Spotty Kimbra.
Kimbra.
Bye bye.